Hi, I'm Rowan Hansen. This is my donut.
I'm Mike Gardner. This is a wrench. Joe!
Joe?
What? What? Can't you see I'm busy?
Welcome to Barn Find Willys, episode 2 of Throwing Wrenches. Found out the landlord has a Willys Wagon that was his first car. It's a 52 wagon and it has been sitting in a garage up on the front of the property for about 25 years now. Our goal today is going to be to see if we can get it out of the barn, get it back here, and get it running.
All right.
Do you agree?
I agree.
He agrees.
Let's do it.
We're good.
Yeah, soccer metal's good.
I'm not going to die.
Hold on. You see?
I don't know. I got a helmet on. Land of Ladders.
Oh my god, where are we going with this thing?
Alright, keep going out.
I've always wanted one of these.
I feel like it's a clown car instead of it's got ladders in it.
Why is there like never a car here when I come here? And today there's a car.
Once I pulled in, I said, oh man.
I always wanted my own cinder block.
Nothing coming in? No.
Yeah.
Some tank treads on there.
Yeah. It blows a belt. That's it. I feel like a soccer goalie. All right,
We got to figure out this freaking plow too, because everybody has to have a plow.
All right, so we'll pop it open and see just how bad it is under the hood here. It's all there. I don't see any wildlife. Joe, you can make this do stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Inside don't look too bad.
No, inside looks awesome. It's got a starter cylinder.
We're gonna be plowing snow with us tonight.
Are you there right now?
Yeah, we're actually at the garage, like airing up the tires on your wagon right now.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Let me make a couple calls. I'll call you back.
Okay, great. Thanks. Bye. This right here is an example of a nice cost-saving repair process. Don't use all that welding. Don't use that Bondo. Don't use that sheet metal that you're going to rivet in. Just get some nice tape for ductwork and stick it... Okay, forget that. We will not be using this cost-saving process on our vehicles. No, definitely not.
There it is. Very good.
We're just taking a pin out, not removing the head.
That was big.
I have little girly hands, man. This isn't made for me.
Is Mike touching himself again?
Yes.
I gave him the biggest pair of chain locks he's probably ever touched.
I'll tell you what I touched, boy.
Got some roofing nails.
Roofing nail. Hey, Rufus.
Roofing
Hey,
nails.
how you doing?
Hey, that's awesome. felt something that was like compression. We just took care of our big concern, which was when we first looked at this a couple months ago, I knew the wagon existed and the landlord had told me it had been there forever, but when something sits this long, we all know that the engines sometimes freeze up. Well, on the day we went up there, it was probably 10 degrees out and I couldn't get anything to turn and didn't think about the fact that it's so freaking cold it's not going to turn over. So our big question was whether the engine was locked up. And right now I just got in there, felt compression, turned it over by just putting some pressure on the fan belt and turning the fan. And that's a huge thing right there. We don't need to wrestle with whether the engine actually turns, so we can get into the electric and the fuel and the fluids and start seeing what we can do.
So a few weeks ago, we joined up with Quadratec. They wanted to sponsor us and help us out with a lot of the builds. Great thing about Quadratec is they carry parts from 1941 to the current JK or the new JL coming out. So everything that we need for these Jeeps is available through them, as well as everything for our more modern Wranglers. So if you haven't used Quadratec before, check them out. They have everything you could possibly need.
I just thought it was amazing that the Carter fuel filter was on here. So we'll clean that out. And that's another thing that Rick from Old Jeep Carbs LLC, he restores the fuel filters, the carburetors, the fuel pumps, and he sent us a redone carburetor for this and a redone fuel pump, so that'll actually take care of a couple of our huge issues of varnish and sediment that might be in there. And then we'll probably just run a line to a little gas can, because God only knows what that fuel tank is like.
No, I mean, everything that I see inside, it looks like it's been changed over to 12 volt. But other than that, I mean, it's all very original. It's got the original insulation on the firewall, the wipers, the fuel pump, the fuel filter, everything looks original.
Stuffing a nail in there or something. Figure out how to unbend the freaking nail. Oh yeah, this one's got the... I love this. Yeah, do it to me. It's got the nut that you can't get to.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. As if there's not enough for me to geek out on the internet with Jeep pictures and as well as physical magazines. A bunch of guys came out with this new magazine called JP Freak. JP Freak is a really awesome internet magazine that covers everything. Classic Jeeps, as well as full-size Jeeps and the modern Wrangler, up to the JK and the new JL. If you haven't seen JP Freak, check them out. It's www.jpfreak.com. JPFREEK.com. They're awesome. Check them out. So,
I think this is my coffee.
do we just have like a
Yeah.
3/4 drive? I mean, not 3/4, a 3/8 drive and 9/16.
Can you get it in? Do you think you'll be able to fit that in on the other side?
Yes?
Okay.
I don't know.
You thinking a long extension get down in there on the other side, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a freaking genius.
Anakin Skywalker once said, "It's working."
God.
Stop it! I'm a nerd.
Well,
I
beat up kids like you in high school.
I beat up kids like me in high school.
Very good.
It's made in USA.
Actual live snail.
A shell.
Oh my God.
I think there's a snail in there.
So this is the original Carter carburetor, obviously from 1952. It's a little old, a little beat up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, clean up a little bit, send it back for a core. We have a replacement from Old Jeep Carbs, right?
Yep, Old Jeep Carbs LLC.
So he sent us a brand new replacement, ready to go, ready to plug and play. So this one will go back as a core, so you can rebuild it and pass it on. And we'll be installing a brand new, pretty Carter car.
What Rick does with these is completely tears them down, checks them for cracks, cleans them, and he also vacuum tests them. One of your common issues with your fuel mixture adjustment is down here. You'll find that the shaft body wears out, And so what he'll do is he'll mill it out, and then he puts in a bushing. So this one's a good tight bushing. And the great thing that Rick does is when he rebuilds a carburetor for you, he then will video the carburetor running on a Jeep at his house with the vacuum gauge running, so that you know everything is set and ready to go. On top of that, he puts, I think it's a 1-year warranty on them, and he is available from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to call and ask questions. His big goal is to teach people how to take care of these Jeeps. So we have one of his gorgeous carburetors here, and Rick sent us the fuel pump as well. So we should be in really good shape for getting this guy, hopefully getting this guy started. So here's one of his fuel pumps. And he also does the original, this is an AC fuel pump, and he also does the original fuel filters for them too. And not only can you send him your carburetors and fuel pumps, Rick also has a pretty good stock of original Carters and fuel pumps and original Carter fuel filters as well on the shelf. So you can call him up. There is no reason to ever put one of those Solex aftermarket pieces of garbage onto your Jeep. Get a Carter, get it done right. Your Jeep will thank you, and your sanity will thank you in the long run.
Give me something to throw.
Really? Sort of with the light coming through, it's red. It's pretty. I'm transfixed. Ooh, look at the red. Okay, I'm gonna get out from under here because I think I'm getting high from varnish fumes. Oh my God. I want to give a shout out to Kaiser Willys. You can find them at kaiserwillys.com. Kaiser Willys sponsored this episode. They supply over 1,700 parts for Willys Wagons, and as we get into doing the brakes, needing lines, needing all these little parts, that's where we're going to be going for those. So check them out at kaiserwillys.com.
Oh, look at that. See this?
Let me set some light on that for you, son. It's nice.
All right.
This should be the only thing that needs hot.
Should I I'll grab a battery in a second. We'll see if the starter actually turns
Why
on.
don't you put oil in it first?
Yeah. Okay.
So we can get the drain plug back in, get some oil in it,
Get under there. Do that.
and see if it cranks over.
It moves.
It cranked over.
Did it turn the engine though?
Yeah, the plug's out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So the engine turned over.
Yeah, I sprayed them with oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that a little
Yeah,
more.
the engine, yeah. It's moving.
That's
Go ahead.
awesome.
Go ahead.
It's got compression.
Do it one more time. Is the starter going bad or the battery dying?
I think the battery's probably getting low.
Okay. It's got good compression.
Okay. Yeah, I was really worried about the whether it would turn over or not, and then when it spun, I was thinking, oh well, it was just when I couldn't hear it was turning over, I was just like, well, maybe fix the Bendix, and then I realized, oh, when you hit the lever, this is one of the lever ones, it automatically pushes out the Bendix. It's not
Not a gravity.
yeah, it's not a gyro gravity, whatever it's called. It doesn't automatically spin out. Sometimes those stick,
Right.
and I have to clean them out. But oh no, because the plugs are out. That's why it's spinning so nicely. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge worry taken care of.
So we're getting ready to put the carburetor on. So to get it, to make sure that the gasket seats correctly and we don't have any leaks, we just have to clean off the old gasket. Just use a basic razor blade, just kind of scrape it off and be careful not to drop it. Damn it! Yeah, so just clean this off, make sure that there's no old gasket left on it, and then we can put the new carburetor on with new gasket. Everything's nice and clean. This was your first car.
Yes.
Yeah.
I drove this when I'm 78 now, and when I was 16, this was my wheels. My dad gave me this to drive, and he also made me take my driver's lessons in it.
Yeah.
And Didn't have much success with that. I failed twice because I couldn't figure out the shifting, the braking. But whenever this was my wheels, and I was talking to my sisters this morning, and my dad also made them learn to drive the stick shift with this. So,
Really?
and then we had grandparents that lived over in Patapsco. Back in, they had no running water, no electric, and we had to literally forge a creek to get to their house. This was the wheels that we used to get there. In those days, my dad had a foghorn on it that he would blow to let them know we were coming. And so it's like an old friend to me. It's going to be funny if you can't find his wrenches. God, wouldn't it be amazing if it starts up?
Ready?
I'm ready.
You know, it'd be good if we put a battery in it.
Oh, hey, that's always, good.
Or connected it, or
Right.
I don't know if that
Minor details.
All right, so what we're doing, we didn't get any spark with the original coil that was on here, so we're going to pull that off, switch out the coil, and see what we're getting. We're getting a spark after we test it. Everything else is good. All we really need is fuel, air, and a spark, and it should run. We're just not getting spark. All right, so I just pulled off the old coil. So I don't know how old it is, but it is the old coil that wasn't working. So we got a new coil, so we're going to put this back on the side of the engine, hook everything back up. We should have plenty of spark, and this thing should be puffing smoking a little bit. Yeah, so we're coming along great. We've got new fuel filter, new fuel
Right.
pump. We just got new carburetor put on with the filter there. So right now Joe's hooking up the fuel lines. We've got new plugs, and we've checked all the fluids. The oil look great. We actually drain the oil, put all new oil in it. So we're going over everything and making sure that at least the vitals are done.
I was thinking about this riding down the road, and I have to share this, and I almost broke into tears because that is your history, that's your childhood, and I thought that old friend of mine maybe will be back to running again, and that really meant a lot to me to think about that.
Yeah.
And so
we don't see why it won't be. I mean, everything right now checks out great.
well, as I say, when I parked it, it was running. We literally ran it into the garage, parked it, and then there it stayed as we checked the registration for 25 or so years.
Yeah, the last registration we found was not the newest was 1990.
Right.
That's good, yeah. Hold on. It's got spark. It's bidding.
Ow!
Surprise!
What was it?
I can't move my arm. I'll let somebody else do that.
It got me.
I am clear of anything electric. So we had a major success today. Whenever you come together with a plan on a project, you generally expect that something will go majorly wrong. And in this case, the goal was to pull Howard's Jeep that had been sitting for, it turns out to be 25 years, out of the garage. Howard's Jeep that he grew up with, and get it started. And here we are, driving it around. Howard's got a smile on his face like a kid again. And I can say mission accomplished.
The sound, I remembered the sound, the hum, the way the engine sounded. It reminded me of when I used to drive it, which was really neat.
That sort of whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that particular unique sound of the old Jeep, and it was neat. Fond memories.
So cold in here.